Hey everyone, I'm Renegade Kitty. Welcome back to another speed build of a micro house for 4 Sims. This one is also a starter house and it's set up for a toddler. In my last video, I kind of found out by accident that I could have 2 separate rooms for 4 Sims, but I'd have to choose between either a dining or a living area. So in this build, I do sacrifice the living area, but I do try and make up for it with these plush dining chairs, and they still have a TV so we can assume that they're comfortable. Right now I'm just mapping out the space that I need because I want to make sure there's enough beds and chairs for everyone. So I go ahead and I do the master bedroom first because at this point I'm pretty familiar with how much space I need for the master bedroom and the bathroom. And once those are out of the way, I can figure out how to enclose the kitchen and dining area, and then I will literally just jigsaw everything together. The kitchen I do keep as simple as possible. I really don't want these builds to be too difficult for you to customize or move things around. Even this time around, the dining table doesn't have to be fiddled with too much, which was such a relief. I think even if you know how to be creative with Alt, it can still be such a pain to move something to just the right spot to make it work. At the same time, I think all my micro builds will use Alt just to maximize the space, unless maybe it's for 1 or 2 Sims. The kids' bedroom is a bit of an odd design, but it's functional, and now everything comes to 32 tiles. I had 2 teen or child beds at first, but my tester family had a toddler, so I thought it would be a good idea to work from there. That way the potty and high chair are already accounted for, and it can easily be removed later. So once everything is stuck together, I move the house because in this one I'm going to do a little bit more landscaping and I want a good sized front and backyard. I won't use too much clutter just to make sure the house stays under 20,000 simoleons and it's still reasonably well designed. I did put more effort into landscaping this time and keeping things simple inside, so I hope that comes across well and that is easy to work with. So the bathroom, I'm pretty sure this bathroom looks almost identical to the bathroom in my previous build, but there's only one cheap shower tub, so there's not much I can really do. I do put a rug in there to spice things up, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just a rug. You can go ahead and change things around. I'm pretty interested to see how people will use my builds, if they use them at all. So yeah, let me know if you renovate these houses and how you use the space inside. I know there's still a lot of room for decorative things, which I would add in later as my family got more money, but to keep things at starter level, I'm a bit restricted. I also don't use debug objects in my build yet, but I'll check that out later if it can liven things up without adding to the cost. My main priority with these builds is keeping them accessible to a family that's just starting out and then grow from there. I might use one of these houses for a rags to riches style play and just see how my Sims end up upgrading and expanding their micro house. Yeah, here, that rug that just spices things up. So I'm going to be moving the family in because I have to test out these beds. Once they're in, I'm back to play testing as I go just to make sure everything's functional. The toddler bed is a little bit off the wall because it's smaller than the teen bed, but you could put in some decor there or just leave it. It's entirely up to you. I do end up moving the door and table just a little bit, just enough so that, Sims can go into the house and that it's functional. And as you'll see, the high chair seems to be usable only if it's in one particular spot, which means it does end up being right next to the stove. And in real life, that is absolutely not safe, but this is The Sims, and they don't have to worry about oil splatters or anything like that. Just get the toddler out quick if there's a fire, if you want. The dresser is going into the bedroom this time around, and it's sized down once. Both the dresser and the end table are shifted over and into the wall a little bit with Alt, to make sure that Sims have enough room to get around both sides of the bed. I don't know why, but in this build it seemed like the bed had to be further into the wall than I remember. It might be because of the dresser, I really don't know, but I did have to shift things over a bit. If I do another micro build, I might use shelving, like wall shelving instead of end tables, just to change things up. So I'm just trying to make sure everything is functional, and it is. Just had to move over the end table, I think, a little bit. The TV is literally going right next to the fridge and above the sink. I played around with things later, and it doesn't work on the wall behind the dining chairs because it blocks the routing. I thought it looked better there, but it's just not functional. Sims can also sit on the dining chairs and watch when it is over the sink, so it still works. And I thought, let's just keep it there. I do try and use more color in this build, and I went with green. Let me know what you think of that. I do resize the garbage can down once, and it's a little bit out between the fridge and the sink. You'll see me test it out with the Sims to make sure they can use it. So he cooks, and I'll have his wife throw it out because he will probably just drop it since he's sloppy. All functional. So I go ahead and put the potty in the toddler room. I think it can actually work in the bathroom somehow, but again, I really wanted to keep things simple in terms of placement, and the kids' room is also a bigger space to move around in. And I think it's nice. He sits on the edge of the bed and he talks to her, and there's just enough room to move around, and I don't think you'd get that in the bathroom. And after this, I go back up and finish the kitchen, since before I couldn't figure out how I wanted the cabinets to be. I also spent some time looking for the tiny living decor and have trouble finding it. I don't know if it's just me or how they're categorized, but things like the shelving units and the succulents seem a little bit hard to find. But then again, I always seem to have a harder time finding something when I'm actually looking for something specific. If I'm just scrolling through, I can find it no problem. But if it's something specific, good luck to me. So in my last build, I mentioned generally using lighter colors in micro homes. This time I do use a darker color. I don't know if it works, but I do pair it with a lighter floor, and I make it so that the kitchen side is darker and the dining side is lighter. And I think the idea behind that was that the duality of colors would make the space look pretty open. I don't know if it actually works, but it works for me. And I think it looks pretty nice, and I am a little bit out of my comfort zone here. In the kids' bedroom, I use windows on either side of the headboard. I think it's just so that it would make them feel less claustrophobic. Even though they can't feel claustrophobic, I think the idea works. So here's the duality of colors I was talking about, and I just finished up the wallpaper. Lighter colors in the bedroom and kids' room still. I'm working on it, but there is color in the kids' room, so I think that's a step forward. And I really like the wall stickers that they have for kids. I haven't really used them before until I went experimenting with building, but I think they do a good job of livening up the place and making it more personal. I use nature related on one side and dinosaur related on the other. I'm still going to have to find different ways to decorate better on a budget. I think it would be easier if I used other packs, but I know not everyone has all the packs, and I want things to be accessible. I've actually never tried downloading something from the gallery using a pack I don't have, so I don't know if it works or if it just doesn't show up. In this and my previous build, I just used Base Game and Tiny Living. So if you don't have Tiny Living, let me know if it just doesn't load those items, and maybe that way in future builds I might feel a little bit better about using various pack items, knowing you can still use the house without those items. So you'll see soon when I go around the house, the bed actually went through the wall. Like I said, this time around the bed just seemed more finicky, so I have to adjust the placement just to make it usable. I really don't know why, but moving it around a little bit, it did end up getting to work, and it doesn't stick outside of the wall. Just making sure everything's functional here just to finish things up. So that's the build. I really hope you like it. We're gonna speed through landscaping and screenshots. Thank you so much for watching.